Welcome to the Disaster Shipping in Transit Visibility ITV System Admin Training. This training was updated August 23rd, 2017. For the purposes of this training, this system will be referred to as the ITV system. As part of this training, there are two sites as part of the ITV system. They can be accessed here at http://bit.ly. Is bit.ly. It's essentially a short URL shortcut. bit.ly/2, X is in X-ray, D is in Delta, N is in November, F is in Foxtrot, W is in Whiskey, Q is in Quebec. When you enter this, it will take you to americanredcross.sharepoint.com/sites/HUMSVC2/DCS/ops logistics/site pages/home.aspx. This is the SharePoint home for the logistics team, and there are two sites that we care about here as admins. There's TripLog and there are requisitions. We're going to start with requisitions. On the requisitions site, this is SharePoint for Office 365, and what we'll be talking about today is how to manipulate this site if you are designated as a system administrator. The first thing to know is that you have your main menu up here. New creates a new record, quick edit, and we'll go through each of these. Quick edit allows you to edit views or fields that you see here in a view. Export to Excel allows you to export all of the records that you have within a current view. Flow is like an alert, it's a workflow. So if something is checked, then send an email to this person, or if this field is completed, then send an email to this person or that team every so often. There's a lot you can do with Flow. We won't talk about that. We'll acknowledge it, but we won't talk about that in detail during this training. You don't need to worry about Power Apps right now. The main thing we're going to focus on are the views, how to modify fields and descriptions. So the first thing is we want to understand what do we actually have in a record here in the requisitions log. So here we have the ability to create a new requisition. The first thing is you'll see enter value here, enter date, enter text here. That's where you actually could type something in. As an admin, we want to pay attention to the titles of fields, whether fields are required, the order of fields, and the comments that come with a certain field. So for starters, this is a field name. This is where you would fill in the information. This is the description. And if you see a red asterisk, that means that the field is required before you can save it. So a bunch of fields here for the requisition form. Do not use is a do not use. Don't worry about that. Attachments, we won't have any right now, but those come standard with SharePoint. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and cancel this record. As an admin, you care about, again, the views, and the views are dependent on your users. So if we look at the requisitions list, over time we may get comments or feedback back where people say, we need a view for this team, or our view has the columns in the wrong order, or I'm not seeing the right fields, or things aren't ranked appropriately, or can you filter out certain types of records? For example, if something is completed, can we filter it out? All of those can be done within views. You'll have, you can edit and save a view. You can also check the different views that exist as an admin, but we're going to focus on the gearbox up here. With the gearbox, you want to click down onto list settings, and within list settings, the main things that you're going to need to touch here are the columns. Columns are fields. So where we saw DR, Ariba PR number, delivery POC name, each of those is a field, but the way that SharePoint reads this is as a column. If you need to change the name of a field, here it's called a column again, you'll click on the field name and you can change it quite simply. You can change the type of field that it is, and you can change the description. If you want to make a field required or change whether a field is required, you can do that there. You won't want to enforce unique values. You shouldn't need to touch each of these, but this is the whole, everything, behind the scenes here. And you can also delete a field this way. It's very important to make sure you don't delete a field inappropriately, but if you make a change, you click OK. If you want to cancel out, you click cancel. You can also order, if you need to rearrange at some point, the fields that exist in the requisition or the trip log, which we'll talk about after this. Then what you can actually do is go to column ordering here. These columns or fields are in a very specific order, and the way you would change that is you just click and change the position from the top. So think I'm looking at a form and these are all of my fields and the order in which I would see those. This is a universal view, so you can't change that from one user type to another. If you need to customize things for a certain user, that's where you do that in the list view that you're looking at. So we're going to go ahead and cancel this. Don't want to make any changes. And looking at views, here we have the all items view. We can also create a view. Let's talk about creating a view. So you want to go to a standard view, or similar to standard view, you can actually start from an existing view. So if you have a user and they're very similar to the procurement team, starting from an existing view means that by default, when I start building here in just a second, I could call this shipping view, or I could call this open requisitions. And you'd want to create a public view. And then you can change again which fields, which columns are visible in your view and the position that you want to see them in. So maybe you only want 5 fields in your view. Well, you just uncheck all of the fields that you don't want to see. Now, you can also do some cool things by, again, sorting here. So if I have 100 requisitions, the most recent number 100 would be at the top if I show items in descending order. And then you could do a secondary sort if you wanted to, just like in Excel. You can also basically do some filters with a specific view. So if I wanted to only show requisitions that are not yet, let's pick a good example here, requisitions that are not yet approved. So we have the question, is it approved, yes or no? So if I only want to see requisitions that are not approved, then I'm going to select no. So it shows me things when approved is set to no. If I only want to see things that are approved, then I just type in yes here. And you can have multiple category and criteria with each of these if you wanted to. I would ignore everything below this, and when you're done, you go ahead and click OK, and you will have created a new view. Editing a view. So we may get feedback from a user. Again, we go up to the gear in the top. We get feedback from a user that says, hey, I like my view, but I wish you could change something up. We don't want to get stuck and we don't want to make a user feel that they've hit a dead end. So what I'm going to do here is, let's say NHQ Logistics doesn't like their ordering of fields. Again, we can go ahead and change that. So now Ariba PR and assigned to trip would actually be flipped. So it would read requisition ID, then I would see assigned to trip, then I would see Ariba PR. And if there's too many fields, again, uncheck or check boxes as you wish. I'll cancel that. And it's thinking. Now, just so you can see how the trip log works, again, the two things that we care about are requisitions and trip log. The trip log is exactly the same. The gear up here, you would still go to list settings to change your list. You see here we have more views, so more that can go wrong, but also more customization. The quick edit still works fine. We hadn't clicked on that before, but if somebody asks, you can actually just type in directly here and save a field if you need to. So quick edit's actually very powerful, and you can scroll left and right to see all of the fields that exist. So let me go to a simpler view here. Let me go to the broker view. These are the fields that the broker cares about first and foremost. Trip ID, trailer number, driver name, driver phone, delivery address, and again, scrolling left and right. And if somebody says, hey, how do I open this thing? All they do is double click it. And you can also, you can edit here. You don't want to delete it, but you just click the back arrow and it'll take you back to the top of the list. So pretty simple and straightforward there. So this concludes the system admin training for how to adjust the ITV tool. If you have any questions about alerts and specific alerts that occur, that is a different conversation, something that will not be included as part of this training. This is simply about how we work on creating, changing, editing, deleting certain fields, changing views, changing the order of fields within a view, and then changing description fields within a certain field. Thank you for attending.